uncle, one of the best. Your dad was pretty good too. But your uncle, Mike Gottfried, one of the smartest.
One day you're going to be in the Basketball Hall of Fame. How about that one? From Clarion College.
If you get hurt 3 times, you know what we call that? Buzzard luck. And stuff happens in your life that way.
There was a time when players had to kind of make this blind decision to go to the NBA, where they're underclassmen, and we tried to help them as much as we can and give them good advice.
They knew what GMs were saying about them, not us, because some people around them would say, you can't trust the coach. He wants you back.
Right.
And we're no.
I'll give you, a matter of fact, I'll give you a 2-year deal. But if you leave, there's a buyout, either the next school or you, somebody. But there has to be something in place. We can't have free agency.
This is all about their future. You know, one kid I called in, I go, you're over here kind of worried. You know you're a millionaire, right?
All right, today's guest on the Coach Mark Gottfried Show is John Calipari, head basketball coach at the University of Arkansas. Cal has been inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame. He's won a national championship. But today we're going to dive into some of these issues around the NCAA, with NIL, with the transfer portal. And coaches, all of us have gone through it at one point in time or another. We've been fired. I've been fired. John's been fired. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about how John Calipari is a friend to coaches around the country. So I hope you enjoy this episode of the Coach Mark Gottfried Show with John Calipari. All right, welcome back. This is the Coach Mark Gottfried Show. I'm having a ball with my podcast. And today I've got probably one of my favorite guys in all of coaching, one of the best to ever do it, period. I've coached against him, recruited against this guy, been friends for 20, 30 years, but John Calipari, head coach at the University of Arkansas. How you doing today, Cal?
I'm good. And your uncle, one of the best. Your dad was pretty good too. But your uncle, Mike Gottfried, one of the smartest, visionary coach. Think about his staffs. The Harbaughs, right? I mean, think about his staffs. Fox. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh yeah.
And I got to be around him when I was a young assistant at Pittsburgh, and I soaked it all in. I spent a bunch of time in his office with him, hanging out. He's unbelievable.
Well, thank you, Cal. People forget. A lot of people don't know. You know, he had Frank Beamer and all those guys, but he also, how about this one? He gave Mike McCarthy his first coaching job. He hired him when he was let go as a high school coach, and he was working on the Turnpike in New Jersey. And my uncle Mike Gottfried gave him a job at Pitt. How about that one? All these guys
we could spend a whole show on him and his staff. And I mean, you know, he when I say visionary, the nuggets you would get from him when you sat down with him, things that he would say. I have on my wall here, coach your team, because he knows everything is going around. I have it in big print. I'm looking at it right now. Coach your team. That was from Mike Gottfried. Yep. Don't worry about it. Just coach your team. And he calls me still. You're not smiling enough. Smile. Let those players know you're having a ball. He's good.
Yeah. Oh, he's the best ever. He and my dad, Mike and Joe Gottfried, they've been so amazing to me, obviously, through the years. All right, Cal, here we go. So here's my first thing I want to ask you right here. And we're going to dive into some NCAA stuff too, because I think you and I are on the same page on a lot of things. But you're a guard at Clarion College. Did you ever think when you're playing, you're the point guard for Clarion, that one day you're going to be in the Basketball Hall of Fame? How about that one? From Clarion College. Did it ever cross your mind?
No, but, you know, I started thinking about coaching, and maybe you had family in it a little bit where my dad was a baggage handler. Mom worked in the cafeteria at the high school, junior high school, matter of fact. The people that we looked up to in our bedroom community were the teachers. They were the professionals and the coaches. And what I looked up to, I only wanted to be a high school coach and teacher. That's it. And then when I went to college, it changed. And then I went to the NBA, got fired, went back to college. But it started there. Bill Sacco, Skip Ditala, Jim Bonney, Ray Bazzetti was the baseball coach. Capuana, Jim Bonney, they were the football coaches. I guess if you're Italian, you're supposed to coach because all the coaches were Italian at the school I went to. But no, I never, that was a thought, especially when we were 10-18 my first year. It took us 3 years to break 500. Took us 3 years to break 5. You're thinking about Hall of Fame. How about you're thinking about survival? Am I going to make it another year?
How about this one, Cal? Because and I want people to know that listen and watch the show. When I got fired at NC State, there was 4 games left in the season. Debbie Howe, we can talk about her off camera. But anyway, one guy in America stood up for me. One guy stood up publicly and had my back, and that was you, Cal. I'll never forget it. I'm forever thankful because you have always been a coach's. You understand the business. Like, you understand it. You stand up for coaches. You compliment coaches. So not only are you in the Hall of Fame, you've had this great run, but I appreciate that more than anybody could ever know. And I'm sure there's other coaches just like me that you've poured into along the way. And I just want to say thank you for that and appreciate that.
Well, you know, in this profession, as you know, I've been fired. I mean, what's happened a little bit, we've gotten away from each other because of NIL, because of the transfer portal. Now the tampering's ridiculous. It's hard to talk to a guy that's tampered with half your team. At times, there's an arrogance about guys in our profession that they figured this out. What changes every 5 years how you do this. You and I have been around long enough to know when it was you had all bigs, and then you had to have all guards, and then you had to shoot all threes, and then you had to have post-up basketball. Then you have no post-up basketball. It's all out, and it's going to change and keep changing. But guys kind of think they have the answer to all of it, and that's you and I kind of smile at it and say, all right, that's fine. But, you know, I'm not mad at coaches for doing stuff. We have no rules. How can I be mad for a guy that says, I'm going to take a pro who was in the NBA, and now I can put him on my team mid-season, and then you're going to get mad at him? Well, if he's allowed to do it, I'm not mad at him. Like, we've got to get this right.
Yeah. And hopefully we will. Here's what I want you to I want your take on this one, Cal. So, you know, just so people understand, the NABC, our National Association of Basketball Coaches, I was on the board for probably 10 years. You were on the board. We were all there together. And there was a time when players had to kind of make this blind decision to go to the NBA, where they're underclassmen, and we tried to help them as much as we can and give them good advice. But then we went and said, all right, to help our kids, let's let them go to the combine, paid for. Let's let them go work out for teams. They can fly to L.A. and Boston and wherever. Let's let them talk to agents. Let's do all that because we want to help the kids. Let's help them make a good decision. So we got all of that.
If you remember, we had the GMs give them information.
Yes.
So they knew what GMs were saying about them, not us, because some people around them would say, you can't trust the coach. He wants you back.
Right.
And we're no, we want you to make a good decision, whether it's go or stay.
That's all. And we got all that stuff pushed through the NCAA. We the coaches, you and I and Bill and Tom Izzo, we were all in the room, and we pushed it. And now, so kids have every opportunity to make a good decision. So, like I've said publicly, the kid at Alabama, hey, I'm an Alabama guy, coached there, played there, love it. I'm rooting for him. I want him to win. I want the kid to do well. But I struggle a little bit when we've given the guys all the opportunity to make a good decision. They make the decision. They go to the draft. They get drafted. And after a couple years, they say, you know what? This isn't turning out so good. I want to come back to college. And by the way, if I go back to college, I can get some money too. I can make some money. Let's not forget that part of the equation. And so I struggle with this thing. Now, if it works out where the kid at Alabama, Charles Bediako, can play, hey, you roll on and you're good with it. but it opens the door. The first person I thought of was you. Hey, folks, this is Mark Gottfried, and I'm excited to tell you about TORQ Sports, the free app that's revolutionizing how young athletes chase their dreams. I trust TORQ 100% and stand behind its mission to empower the next generation. Players, post your highlights and get noticed by scouts and college coaches. And coaches, build your program, share your knowledge, and track your players. Download TORQ Sports now. Because you've had a number of guys leave early, and most of them have done extremely well. But you've had a couple guys that said, you know what, maybe I want to just go back. I want to go play for Cal. I want to go play for him again. And so kind of that picture of what we try to do to help the kids.
Yeah, there are some guys out there that I would say, you know, we could do some of that stuff. But here's what I would say. The reason I wouldn't do it, okay? What about the players that played all summer, that worked and did their thing, and now I'm bringing a kid in at mid-season who may not even be enrolled in school yet and is starting to play, taking the minutes or the shine of players that have been there for us. One, how do I recruit next year? What, a freshman or a transfer, are you going to bring in anybody mid-season? No, why would I do that? Because you just did it. How do I know? I mean, all this stuff, but it's still, I don't blame the coach. We let him do it. This is where we are now. The NCAA, when the O'Bannon case was decided, could have shifted gears and we could have been in a great place. Their arrogance that we're going to do whatever we want. Second thing, they start making waivers. The quarterback from Vandy, the player there's a G League player out west playing, or two of them. Then the Alabama kid, and then you got you start, and then they go. Every case is different. If you've ever dealt with the NCAA, they choose who they do stuff to, and they choose. And if you say, wait a minute, I did exactly what he did. No. Every case is different. What? That case and this case are exactly the same. Nope. Every case is different. So they can do what they want, except in the court of law. There's precedent in the court of law. So now you say, well, he shouldn't be able to play. The judge says, what about the quarterback at Vandy? What about these two G League players out west? Well, those cases are different. No, they're not. There's precedent. You created the precedent. Precedent. We don't use it in the NCAA. Every case is different, so we can choose to do what we want. That's why we're here. Now, how the hell do we get out of this? And if it takes 3 or 4 years, Mark, 3 or 4 years, this thing is blown up. I don't care what anybody's saying. This thing is totally blown up. We don't have rules. They say they're going to enforce rules. Well, you know what's great for us basketball coaches? You got to do football first. You're going to have to punish. You're going to have to do football. And if you do too much to football, you won't be in your job anymore. So we got to watch how this is going to play out. If the government won't step in, and they're not going to give the NCAA free reign, and they call it safe harbor. In other words, they can't be sued. Who would give the NCAA safe harbor? Now, if they would go and say, let's cure the transfer issue in eligibility so you don't have 30-year-olds playing against 17-year-olds, because the 17-year-olds, that's what this is supposed to be about. If you're 30 and still want to play, go pro. Go pro. You don't have to be in college. And transfer once without penalty. You picked the wrong place. The guy lied to you, blah, blah, blah. He recruited another player, blah, 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 once without penalty. If the coach gets fired or leaves, you can transfer again without penalty. Other than that, you got to sit out. You know why? So we can help you academically. We can create a brand for you so when you are done and graduated, you can get a job, because 1% of the college kids go to the NBA. What about the other 99? Now, I'd like to say if you play for me, it's almost 70% get drafted and get the second contracts and all that. But the reality of it is it's 1%. Yeah. And we're saying, well, what about the rights of these 25? What about the rights of the 17 and 18 and 19-year-old? How about this? Do you remember us talking? They're not giving the scholarships to freshmen. All these kids, they're where they'd all be signed. They're not signed. They're just waiting. And so some, if you're not in the top 50, you're not getting the scholarship to one of those schools you normally would get a scholarship to. And now you go to that school and you're playing against a 25-year-old. They got 25, 24, 26, 23, 22. That's their team. And now you're playing as an 18, a 17, and 19-year-old against them. It's just not fair. Maybe the league's got to get together and do something, or football, because I don't think football rules and basketball rules match. What's important to basketball is not important to football. Here's one: mid-season transfers. Football wouldn't care, but it matters to us. So playing a 25-year-old, football may like it. They may like it because kids are not mature enough at 17. I'm fine with that. Have your own rules. But basketball should have our own too. I'm sorry I went so long, but you get me started on that stuff.
I'm going to agree with you on one thing, Cal. I've said this to everybody, and I'll call him out. You know, we sat in those meetings with Mark Emmert, and he was the president of the NCAA, and I used to always walk out of there saying, dude, this is coming. Like, they were so arrogant and pompous. They could have came in and said, all right, all freshmen, we'll pay you $100,000 each. All sophomores, you get $200,000. All juniors, and you can transfer one time without having to sit out. We get it. If they would have been ahead of the game. But here's the other thing, Cal, I say all the time. If you're an organization and your rules cannot stand up in court at all, and I'm afraid most of them can't with them, I'm not sure you're an organization anymore. I don't care if you're the YMCA or the whatever you are. It has to be able to stand up a little bit. And I think right now we're watching this. It's like sinking sand a little bit, and it's just getting away from them. And like you said, I don't know how you put it back. I don't know where you go with this, but the transfer part to me is important. The other thing, Cal, is we are conditioning kids, high school kids, to in their mind say, okay, I've got to go to this college for a year, and then I'll transfer to this college, and then I'll go. We're conditioning them to already do that. That's not good. That's not right, in my view. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I don't see that that's...
And here's what it is. For our own children, you want them to face some difficulty. You want them to face some stuff that they've got to not run at the sign of everything. Or how about loyalty? Whoever gives me a dime more, I'm going. I mean, what are we doing to these kids? Let me say this. Kids are getting paid. Do you know what the average salary in the United States is? What, 55, 60,000? That's an average salary. Everybody on my team's making more than that. It's fugazi. It's fugazi. It's fake. So now they go to 4 schools. Can they get a degree? No, not after 4 schools. Does the school have any loyalty or their fans or donors or alums? No, they were mercenaries. All right, they go apply for a job. And the guy says, you know what, I kind of like you. I'm going to give you $65,000. And the kid goes, what? Do I have to go to work? Are you going to get me a car, apartment? You do feed me, right? What do you mean? And the guy, well, wait a minute. Let me rethink this. I'm going to call you back. And then crickets. You're talking mental health issues. It is fake what we're doing right now. Here's one thing I think, whatever we go, you're going to have collective bargaining. Now, maybe they don't have to be employees, but they have to be a trade union where you get together and say, all right, we're going to give you more than the piece of the pie right now, the rev share. We'll give you more of it. We're going to give you health care after you leave for 5 years. We're going to guarantee your scholarships. As long as you leave in good academic standing, you can get back in school. We're going to do this. We're also going to start a retirement fund for you, so you have money put away. But here's what you got to understand. One, you can transfer once. You have to sit out unless the coach leaves. You're going to have only 5 years to play. 5. Now, whether it's 4 to play 5, whether it's 5 to play 5, there are no waivers. If you get hurt 3 times, you know what we call that? Buzzard luck. And stuff happens in your life that way. It does. And then we move on from this. And then you give them this, we need this, and maybe there is a cap. Instead of 20 million, maybe it's 35 million. And here it is. And so now we have rules that are set that they've agreed to. We move on. If we don't get to that point, this thing's a mess. Look, I've been able to, in my lifetime, at least tried, to be transformational, to know the life of this family is going to change forever if we all work together and do our jobs. This has become transactional. And that's why if a young man puts his name in the portal for me, we're done. I'm not mad, but I'm not going to negotiate. You're not going to extort from me. I got this from him. Well, then go. If you think he can better prepare you for what you're trying to do than me, that's fine. But don't trip over nickels trying to get to 200 million. And so, my guys in the NBA have made $6 billion. 13 have become all-stars. 2 MVPs, rookies of the year, defensive players, all this stuff. The average length of an NBA contract with the guys that I've coached is 8.5 years. In the NBA, it's 4 and change. So you're going to have to come here and work. I'm not giving it to you. If you're drinking, smoking, clubbing, chasing, why would you come here? You come here because of your future. And I got to build a team. I can't give you all the money. I got to build a team. And so this thing is like, it's just gotten to the point where I had to put a piece in an op-ed piece in the Washington Post just to get people talking. We got to talk about this. And then here's the other thing. We got to move. Mark, we don't have 5 years to do this. We just don't. And I'm coaching my team. I don't have time to think of ways to do this. I did. I'm now giving it to you. I gave it to now I'm coaching my team.
Yep. And should. Can we ever get to this place, Cal, where, and you mentioned this before, like loyalty, and I've heard like Jay Billis, great friend of mine, coaches don't have as much loyalty. They can change schools. But my response is, I'm coaching at NC State. I got a $3 million buyout if I leave. I can't just leave. I can't just go in the portal and go to another job. I mean, there's a consequence. Somebody has to pay my buyout if I choose to leave and the UCLA job opens and, other jobs, but I got this massive buyout. Can we ever get to where kids, okay, I'll give you, a matter of fact, I'll give you a 2-year deal. But if you leave, there's a buyout, either the next school or you, somebody. But there has to be something in place. We can't have free agency. The NBA can't have free agency every year. Come on.
And their coaches are under contract and can't move until they're out of that contract. Now, if another team wants to try to hire them, you got to give them something. I mean, all that stuff, again, as a player, that could be negotiated. You can sign a 3-year deal, but if you choose to leave, you're going to have to pay back X amount, 50% of what that contract is. You got to give back to the school. I mean, that's why you need collective bargaining. And people that are smarter than me can put it all together to say, we're willing to give you this. Will you give us this? And as it negotiates, it ends up being here and we're all comfortable. The kids, look, what you said is right. When O'Bannon hit, if they would have moved, we would have been in great shape. When it kept going and you're losing, we could have moved and we'd have been in great shape. We're not now. Now it's, can the NCAA be involved in this? If they can get legislation, yes. If they can't, I don't see it, but there are people smarter than me. But can the leagues come together and say, we'll do this ourselves? All right, we're gonna do this and negotiate and have both sides, cooperate so we get something done.
Yep. How about this one, Cal? So Joe and Mike Gottfried, and we talked about my Uncle Mike, but Those guys have said this to me 100 times in the last, number of years. When the NCAA was run by athletic directors and by people in athletics, go way back. Miles Brand in Indiana was our first president of a university that then became the president of the NCAA. And since then, it's been all presidents. They say to this day, Mark, it all changed when we took an athletic director, an athletic person out of that seat. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I always say this, even as an athletic director, if you've never coached or played, you were in the band, okay? You really don't know what we're going through, all right? You can act like it. You could say, I went to Ohio University and I graduated from that program, so I know, but you don't. For a non-athletic person to be in that position, it becomes political.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's being a president of campus. If you're not political, you won't last long. And so it does become political. So now you're making moves based on politics. And that's when selective enforcement comes in play. It does. The president said, we're not going to do that to you, but we'll do it to this. And all of a sudden, look, here's what you do. You run out of people to piss off. You don't have anybody else to piss off. The Supreme Court voted 9-0 against you. I mean, right. And how did we get to that? The arrogance, the selective enforcement, leaving people alone, going after others, letting some players play, not others. All right, we're here. We don't even need to talk about it now. It is, how do we get this thing right? I'm still here, Mark. Part of this is my son's in coaching. I can't leave and have this thing look like this. There's no way. And that's why I'm speaking out. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Like, we got to do Mark Few, Tommy Izzo, myself, Tad Boyle. There's a bunch of guys that are like, we got to do something. Yeah, and we're all like, if we have to collect the bargain, then let's do it. If that's how you get a cap so that we're on some sort of, there's guardrails, some people are going to have more. They always have. But, yeah, look, I still love what I do because I'm coaching them. I don't care what they make. This is all about their future. One kid I called in, I go, you're over here kind of worried. You know you're a millionaire, right? You're a millionaire. So why wouldn't you just let it go and let it fly and see how good you could be? You're not leaving school with debt. You're not leaving school where doubts of what you're going to have a cushion. And these kids all are. And I don't have any problem with that. It becomes, what are the guardrails? Here's a good one for you. Somebody tampers, hammer them. They tamper, hammer them. Whether they're calling agents to get through to kids, you know what they're doing. Put the dots together and go hammer them. If you think there's violations in different things that you have the say over, but you're going to have to go after the schools that you don't want to go after. And now everybody will respect you and say, well, maybe they're doing this different, because they all never said a word to that school, but they always would, okay? All that kind of stuff. And I have faith at some point that people are going to come together and say, we're going to ruin this for every young person that had an opportunity to go to school, to be athletes. Do you know they've said there are more Fortune 500 companies run by people that were former college athletes than anything? So more than just sports and enjoying the game, our country, like giving young people an opportunity for the American dream. When I walk in a home and I go, it's not going to be like this long if we do the right stuff. I mean, it's like I said, being able to be a college graduate. I'm the first in my family because I got a scholarship. We couldn't afford to pay for it. There's no way. And so being able to do that kind of stuff, it's going to go away. And this is going to become professional. If that's what you want, and you want to blame it on coaches, they can leave too. If you want to say that and ruin this, or stop saying that and come up with a solution. What's the solution to this? Because it's not as is, because it's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work. TORQ had it right, Cal, and he said they'll investigate Kentucky. Although Kentucky did go on probation, he said they'll investigate Kentucky and put Cleveland State on probation. And I believe him. And you and I both knew him well, and one of the best ever, but he had it right. So anyway, Cal, I know you got to go. You're right in the middle of the season, man. You got a lot on your plate. I appreciate you so much. And like I said in the middle, John, I'll never forget. You stood up for me, and I appreciate it more than
it was very
you
easy,
are too.
because you're a hell of a coach and a good man.
Yep, as are you.
And
so
you tell Uncle Mike. Tell Uncle Mike I said hello. Tell your pops I said hello.
We'll do it, and I hope you keep winning, man. And
thanks.
Rooting for you always, man. Rooting for you. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Mark.